In The Honest Truth About Dishonesty, How We Lie to Everyone, Especially Ourselves, Dan Ariely explores the surprisingly systematic nature of human dishonesty. He sets out to challenge the idea that people are either good or bad, instead suggesting that most of us fall into a gray area where we cheat just enough to feel good about ourselves while still gaining some benefit. Through engaging storytelling and behavioral experiments, Ariely uncovers the internal and external forces that shape our decisions to lie, steal, or bend the truth, and how we justify those actions to ourselves. The book opens with a look at how widespread minor dishonesty is. Ariely points out that while large-scale fraud grabs headlines, it's the small, everyday acts of cheating, like underreporting income or taking office supplies, that add up to massive societal costs. He introduces readers to the fudge factor theory, which proposes that we cheat as much as we can without feeling like bad people. This idea becomes the central axis around which the rest of the book turns. To explore this theory, Ariely sets up clever experiments involving tasks where participants could easily cheat for monetary gain. One such experiment involved simple math puzzles where participants self-reported their results. When the conditions made cheating easier, more people cheated, but only a little. This consistent pattern across studies suggests that most people are not maximizing dishonesty, they're optimizing it within the boundaries of their self-concept. Ariely dives deeper into the psychological gymnastics we perform to maintain a positive self-image while being dishonest. He explains how we engage in moral disengagement by rationalizing our behavior. Everyone does it, it's a small thing, or no one gets hurt. These justifications allow us to lie to ourselves even more than we lie to others. The real trick isn't pulling off the lie. It's making sure we still see ourselves as honest people afterward. One of the most compelling parts of the book explores how the distance between us and the consequences of our actions influences our tendency to cheat. When people handle physical cash, they cheat less. But when the reward is a step removed, like tokens exchangeable for money, cheating increases significantly. Ariely uses this insight to explain why people are more likely to fudge numbers on expense reports or steal digital content. The less tangible the damage, the easier it is to cheat. The role of creativity in dishonesty is another surprising revelation. Creative people, Ariely finds, are more likely to cheat, not because they're inherently less moral, but because they're better at coming up with justifications. Creativity allows people to construct believable stories that protect their moral self-image. He recounts stories of people in leadership or high-pressure roles bending the truth, supported by their imaginative rationalizations. Ariely also discusses the social aspects of cheating. We're more likely to be dishonest when we see others around us doing the same. But more interestingly, we cheat more when people we identify with are dishonest. In one experiment, seeing someone wearing the same university t-shirt cheat increased cheating across the group. Dishonesty becomes contagious, especially when we feel socially connected to the offender. The book doesn't shy away from the institutional implications of dishonesty. Ariely explores corporate scandals, tax evasion, and systemic failures where dishonesty was not only widespread but normalized. He argues that environments that reward performance at any cost or lack transparency create the perfect storm for ethical lapses. The key insight here is that structures can shape behavior, and organizations must be designed to reduce the temptation and opportunity to cheat. Religious and moral reminders play a surprising role in curbing dishonesty. In experiments where participants were asked to recall the 10 Commandments or sign an honor code before a task, cheating dramatically decreased, even among atheists. Ariely interprets this as evidence that simply bringing morality to the front of people's minds can reinforce honest behavior. It's less about belief and more about mindfulness of values. As he examines the power of conflicts of interest, Ariely uncovers how even well-intentioned people can unconsciously bias their actions. For instance, doctors prescribing a treatment that benefits them financially may genuinely believe it's the best course, even if it's not. The problem isn't blatant corruption but subtle, unconscious bias shaped by incentives. This insight applies broadly, from finance to politics to journalism. Ariely also explores how people treat themselves dishonestly, self-deception in the service of self-esteem. We often selectively ignore information that conflicts with our desired self-image. For example, someone might see themselves as health-conscious but ignore the calories in their organic junk food. This internal dishonesty can lead to real harm, especially when it accumulates over time. In a particularly reflective chapter, Ariely examines how fatigue and depletion affect honesty. When people are tired or under cognitive load, they're more likely to cheat. He tells stories and shares studies showing that willpower is a finite resource, and when it's low, our internal honesty compass wobbles. This has profound implications for decision-making under stress, especially in high-stakes professions. The book also touches on cultural factors. Ariely compares levels of dishonesty across countries and finds that culture does matter, but not always in expected ways. What's more important is the social norm. If people perceive that everyone cheats in their environment, they're more likely to do the same, regardless of personal values. This leads to a call for leaders and institutions to model and enforce ethical behavior. Toward the end, Ariely explores the idea that transparency and accountability can be powerful tools against dishonesty. He proposes simple interventions, like signing forms at the beginning rather than the end, or creating environments where cheating is harder and moral reminders are present. These small shifts in design can have outsized effects, not because they prevent people from being bad, but because they support people's desire to see themselves as good. Ultimately, the honest truth about dishonesty makes a strong case that dishonesty is not a fringe behavior. It's a universal tendency shaped by environment, psychology, and self-image. Ariely urges readers not to condemn human nature, but to understand it better. If we can accept that even good people cheat a little, we can begin to design systems, cultures, and habits that encourage us all to be just a little more honest.